Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. I'm going to do a quick review on the new Google Chromecast. It comes in this nice little box. If you live in Illinois, it comes from Chicago, so I got this next day. Comes in their standard packaging. Okay, let me start off by saying this just came out. It's October 2020, and I've had every Chromecast from the very beginning. I'm just a big Google fan, and so I'm not sure, but I've kind of switched over to Roku now. But anyway, I do like the Chromecast, but this one has the remote. We're going to see what it looks like. We've got some good packaging. There's the remote. Okay, so Google always does a pretty good job of packaging this stuff. And it's got the remote, power supply, and it does have the batteries in there too, so they are kind of hidden. Okay, so the batteries do not go in the standard remote way. They both go with the positive end forward. So normally one goes one way and one goes the other way, but this one's a little different. Okay, so on the back of your TV, you're going to have these ports called HDMI ports. And you're going to want to plug your Chromecast into one of those. And they also have numbers. So like that's HDMI 1, that's HDMI 2. And then you're also going to have these USB ports. That's what you're going to plug the USB-C cable into to power the device. Or you can plug it into the wall outlet like I showed you. So remember which port you got, because you're going to have to select that on your TV. Okay, so I wanted to show you that you can get power from your TV if it's got one of these USB connections, and then you plug it into the HDMI port. This is how it would look. So the cable is going to be kind of back here, and it's going to be plugged into the Chromecast. Okay, so once you figure out what HDMI port you plugged it into, on your remote, your TV remote, you're going to have to find a source. And you'll change the source to whatever HDMI port you put it on. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, I've got it plugged. I'm using the power supply that came with it, and I've got it plugged in to the USB-C side. And like I said, I've got this HDMI plugged into an HDMI extender, but you normally have this plugged in right to your TV input because I go through a stereo. Okay, so I'm reading the instructions, and it says put the batteries in your remote. It says go to the Google Home app, which normally you have to do for these Chromecasts. But the display is showing like I could walk through a menu. Okay, I'm going to try to walk through a menu. Yeah, it's letting me walk through a menu. Okay, now you've got to set up with Google Home app. Okay, so I did use the remote to hit the selector button for English. And now it's telling me to... but it does say set up on TV instead. May take longer. So down at the bottom it says set up on TV may take longer, or you can set up with the Google app. I'm gonna do the remote. I just press the down arrow, and now it says set up on TV instead. I'm gonna press the select button. Okay, there's where I gotta connect it to my Wi-Fi. So you're gonna pick your Wi-Fi network, and then it's probably gonna ask you for your password. Okay, so I picked my Wi-Fi, and then you're going to have to, it's a little tricky, you know, using the remote, figuring out your password and entering it in, so it's a little slower that way. Once you got your password entered, you got to scroll down to this, and that's probably the enter button. Yep, that's the enter button. It's going to check the Wi-Fi. So, and of course, most things got to do updates when they connect to the internet for the first time. So this one's doing an update. I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but it says the Chromecast will restart soon. Okay, so it's been about almost 10 minutes. Now it's installing the update. After it downloaded, now it's got to install it. Okay, so after the update, it's booting up. Now it's got to reestablish the network connection. Okay, so it looks like you're going to, you have to have a Gmail account, your Google account, and this is where you're going to sign in. So you're going to have to type it in with the remote, which will take a little bit. Okay, so once you sign in, then you can use the remote. You've got to accept, they've got a really long terms of service. Okay, it's got something in here about I agree to a Google arbitration. I just agree to it. And then this is where you can select, you can deselect use location, help improve. It'll send reports to Google, recommendations. So I let all the stuff stay. Okay, it looks like it's wanting me to set up Google Assistant now. It's, the remote has a voice activation on it. Okay, now it's wanting to search across all your TV apps. I just allow it. So this is probably where it's going to look at your, so if you've got Netflix, YouTube, and Prime, and any like Disney Plus, you're going to probably sign in, and it's going to, this will have access, so you can gain access to all those apps from this device. So on this screen, you've got to come over here, and it wants you to select which ones you have. So when I press the center button, so I have Prime, so I'll make sure that's the YouTube and the Netflix are already selected. And I could scroll down and find the other ones that I had. When you're all done selecting the ones, you're going to come over here and hit confirm. So your remote does come with a volume button on the side that you could control your TV or your audio video receiver with it, but I'm not going to do that right now. So it's installing the apps. Okay, so I'm going to go over the remote. This is your navigation bar. The center button is select. This is the back button. This is the Google Assistant. This is the home button for the screen. The mute button. This is and then you got your two most popular apps, YouTube and Netflix. This will turn your TV off, and this will change your TV input. So you can set this up to control your TV. It looks like it has an infrared on it too. So yeah, all in all, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice little remote. These do come in 3 colors. Okay, so that took about another 5 minutes to install those apps, and now it says start exploring. And here's your, looks like it starts at YouTube. I'm not real familiar with Google TV. And then use your thing, you can scroll down. Here's my apps. So I'll probably have to log in. I'm going to try to log into Netflix. There's YouTube, Prime Video. Okay, so yeah, I'd asked for my Netflix account, and it looks like the standard interface even that your Roku has. It's got all the different categories, number 1. So there's Netflix. That was pretty simple. So about 10-15 minutes from the first time you plug it in to when you can start watching. Okay, so when I'm in Netflix now, when I want to get out of Netflix, I'm going to hit this home button. And that's going to take me back to this Google TV screen. So the Google TV screen is like a Roku screen. It's going to allow you access to your different things you pay for, your different streaming services, and YouTube. Okay, so one thing I've really noticed is this thing is really tied to your Google Play account. It automatically brought up my watch list that I'm watching. It's got movies that I own and shows that I own. So it's really tied to that right away. Okay, so I'm in YouTube, and it's got the pretty standard format. Over here you got your home, your search, news, your subscriptions, your library. But home, and then one feature I did notice, it popped up, so if you hold the center button, like if you're on a video and you hold the center button, it brings up this side menu, which is kind of neat. Oh, I can hit play, I can tell it I'm not interested, save. So if you tell it it's not interested, it'll stop showing things like this. So this is kind of a standard thing. It looks like it figures out how fast your internet is, and it'll give you as high depth as you can get. I'm not sure I'm getting 4K on this. This should be 4K, but it's a little less resolution, probably because my internet's slow right now. Okay, so the Google Home feature, you got to hold this button down and speak into it. Okay, Google, what's the weather? I displayed what I said up there on the screen. And there's where it gives the weather. So one nice feature on this For You up here at the top, where it says For You, so it's gonna search across your. So it's got like action shows. It tells you what's shown on Netflix, Prime Video. So it's gonna search across whatever account you're logged into. That's kind of a nice feature. Documentaries. Netflix and Prime, and kind of what's trending right now too. Okay, so one of the nice things about these Chromecasts is their slideshow. When it times out, it'll go to your slideshow of your pictures. So if you scroll all the way over here to your picture, and then go down to settings, it was a little tricky to find. It's not under display and sound. You'd think it would be. It's under system. You select that, then you're going to come over here to, they call it the Ambient Mode. And then you can select Google Photos, Art Gallery, Experimental, Weather. So this is really nice. I always do my Google Photos. Okay, so something I didn't, you can't do that from the remote, looks like. It looks like I have to actually go to the Google Home app and do it from there. Okay, so you're going to have to go to your Play Store and get the Google Home app if you don't already have it. That's what it looks like. Okay, so when you open the Home app, you're probably going to have to log in if you've never logged in before, but if you've already logged in, it sees all the stuff you have. And there's the Google, I labeled it Google TV, so you click on it, and then you can click on the little wheel, and this is your ambient mode, so it's a little tricky to find, and then you can pick your Google Photos, and then when you select that, it'll ask you, it brings you to another screen that says what folders do you want to pick. What's really nice is you can pick people's faces folders. Okay, so there's the ambient mode. That's kind of like the screensaver mode. It's showing a Google photo I took. It's got the date. That's today's date. That's not the date of the photo. It's got the temperature and the time. Okay, so this thing, I've had a Roku for a long time. I just really like Roku, but it looks like they are pretty much just copying the Roku. And it's just a little nicer looking. And it's got the same menu, and you can access the same stuff. So this is going to give Roku a run for their money. But I'm pretty happy with it. The Chromecast did need a remote finally. I mean, people that really knew their phones and stuff could use Chromecast because they kind of understood the app and how it worked. But for people that don't and just want to use a remote, it's going to be the way to go. So again, this is Just a Dad. I wanted to thank you for watching my videos. Just a simple video. I just got it. And would you please like and subscribe?